Good day, everyone. Today we are going to talk about something really interesting, which is film. But first, I want to ask you, who loves watching films? What is your favorite genre of films? Comedy? Well, mine is actually thriller and coming of age, which usually has some teenage romance in it. But you know, 40% of people in Indonesia love to watch romantic films other than horror and action genre? Yeah, well, I bet you don't know. But why? Because romantic films creates expectations on how we are supposed to be treated by our beloved. We love to consume romantic films in light of the fact that we love imagining on how a relationship should be by getting drowned into its emotional story and a happy ever after ending. Romantic films show that love is one of our sources of happiness. So we crave for love. There are often times where we imagine being in the situation just like what it is in a film. Films shape fewer thoughts or ideas in a way that we will search for behaviors that are done by someone similar we have seen in a film with someone in real life. We are daydreaming about the situation where we met a pretty or handsome stranger and then they bumped us, and then sparks fly, we fell in love, things like that. So, every story begins with a hope that creates expectations. But have we checked whether the ideas of romance that are shown in the films already portray a good example on how a relationship should be? Because as a big fan of films, I assure you that I still find some toxic behaviors that are romanticized by these films. Twilight, 50 Shades of Grey, and The Kissing Booth. These movies are in fact very famous around the world. Two of these movies has grossed over $1 billion for its franchise, and even one of them, Twilight, won an MTV award for Best Movie. And another one, The Kissing Booth, has topped as the most watched film in the most popular legal streaming service, Netflix. Thus, I must say that these three films are in fact our three beloved romantic films, judging by its profits, popularity, and by how people constantly posting the trailer, the clip, the scene, even the couple of the films in many film accounts. You know what? I have surfed the internet on the other day and found this site called PsychoLife that identifies specific behaviors that indicate a toxic relationship. So I looked over our three beloved romantic films and correlate the site's theory with what I have found in the films. Behavior number one is possessiveness. Actually, there are similar characteristics between Noah Flynn from The Kissing Booth and Edward Cullen from Twilight. They are counterfeit, dominant, submissive, manipulative, and overpossessive. But let's talk about Edward Cullen first from Twilight. So, do you remember the scene? How do we feel when we are being stalked by someone while we are sleeping through the window? Well, that's kind of creepy, right? But how about when he used his mind power over Bella to find her, or even asked his sister Alice to guide her, to monitor her whenever he's not around? Yeah, we'll back to Twilight later, but let's move to our popular film, The Kissing Booth. Okay, so Noah Flynn is an over-possessive, bad-tempered guy. The sign of toxicity shows in his behavior where he shouted to Elle, the female who he has a crush on, to get into the car. And there are several times where he also acts submissive, you know, when Elle's date is late because Noah keeps warning all the guy not to go out with her. And when Elle feels the need to be vocal about it, like by saying, "It is not your job for monitoring my life. The days of you controlling my life are over." And he only replies with smirks that says, We'll see about that. So there's really a thin line between being protective and possessive. Possessive is an I own you feeling. It can be very destructive. It is a sign of lack of trust. It is not love. Alan de Botton once said that the mature person knows that no one owns anyone. Okay? Back to Twilight. The mind power thing, the stalking behavior thing, these are not okay. It is not okay for us or our partner wanting to know where we are literally all the time, even questioning it. When we know the key of being in a relationship is trust. That's the first key, right? So we might feel that it is really amazing, to have our partner around, being protected, but we have to know that we are also our own person. We need our personal space. The second behavior is controlling and dominance. This behavior is as if you have power over your partner. In the film, Edward Cullen is a male character who thinks that he's obligated to protect Bella at any cost, including isolating her from her friends and her family. In the film, Bella Swan has a really low self-esteem. She's very insecure about herself, even before she dated Edward. And it gets difficult when it comes to making friends because Edward is always around her and pushing her away. Her only friend is Alice because he shields her from any kind of interaction, including with her dad or even her best friend, Jacob Black, who is, spoiler alert, a werewolf, because he thinks that he's dangerous for her. But should we despite the fact that Edward is also a vampire who eats on human blood? Okay, but she even has to lie about hanging out with her friends to avoid Edward's anger. Now, that's kind of wrong, right? He does not have the right to make her decisions all the time and then saying so much he cared about her by literally controlling her. We have the right to make our own decisions. Even Bella in the film said that, in what parallel dimension would I ever have gone to prom with my own free will? If you're not 1,000 times stronger than me, I would not have let you get away with this. So she literally demands for her free will. But then again, love blinds her. Let's move to 50 Shades of Grey, which obviously not a perfect example on how a good relationship should be, judging by the abuses that are shown in these films. Well, it's actually a mix of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. If we take a closer look to Christian Grey character, we can see how submissive and dominant Christian Grey is. Looking by how he treated her the way he wants, He never asked Anna's permission to do things with her. He always does sexual interactions whenever he wants. He never asks whether she is sure or not, right? He treated her like a new puppy that needs to learn how to catch a stick, and he finds it really interesting. Anna literally has no control over the relationship. He never asked for Anna's permission, so it is most likely one-sided. And as Mandy Hale once said that a healthy relationship will never require you, your dreams, your friends, or your dignity. The third behavior is manipulative. If we take a look back to Twilight film, we talk a lot about Edward, right? But is Bella actually a healthy partner? Okay, remember the scene where Edward leaves Bella in the middle of the forest, if I may add, because he thinks that he puts Bella in a dangerous spot by dating him? What actions did Bella take? She's getting more attracted into a dangerous stuff, you know, like jumping on a cliff and then riding a motorcycle in a fast speed, you know. So she puts herself in a more dangerous spot because she wanted to see him again, you know. She doesn't want the relationship to be over. But in real life, we cannot put that much pressure on our partner, right? It's like saying, if you leave me, I'll kill myself. Can we feel the pressure in that statement? Well, I do. I can feel it. So we cannot control our partner's behavior. We cannot manipulate things the way we want it, like putting ourselves in a dangerous spot because we want them not to leave us. We cannot do that. And if we take a look back to Christian Grey character, you know, when Dwi realized that he's not actually generous, he always tries to buy Anna stuff because, yeah, he's rich anyway. But you know that that kind of things is literally manipulative, because you can just apologize to Anna, right? He can just apologize to Anna, but he doesn't. If films portray unhealthy relationship, people will take the ideas of romance in the wrong way. There's a chance that millions of screaming fans might be a victim of a toxic relationship due to the misconception of the ideas of romance itself. We might think that films are just entertainment, unrealistic, but it shapes our thoughts or ideas of romance, whether we realize it or not. People should be aware of how an unhealthy relationship looks like. We have to be able to differentiate between possessive and protective, equality and control, self-respect and disrespect. And if films portray unhealthy relationship too often, we might not realize that we are being manipulated by the whole film itself. So what should we do? Maybe we can just start selecting movies from now on and getting aware of how an unhealthy relationship looks like. And always remember, being in a relationship means that we have the room to grow for ourselves. We have control over our life, but still we got to trust. And always remember, the most important thing is, we don't feel judged. Instead, we feel loved. Thanks for listening to my talk. Thank you. Goodbye.